welcome back to Race Recap. My name is Jackson. This past weekend, we had all three series racing at the newly paved Atlanta Motor Speedway. And as you can see, we're not in the normal office, we're in the beautiful Nassau, Bahamas. And I don't know if there's a better sight to look at while watching a race recap. So, as I said, it's a newly paved Atlanta Motor Speedway, not the old concrete track, a couple spins, a flat tire every now and then, just a regular intermediate track. Well, now you can put it on the list with Daytona and Talladega because it is now a super speedway mile-and-a-half track. So, all three series use their aero packages, which they use at Daytona and Talladega, and it will cause for some chaotic racing all throughout the race, double file, really the whole time this weekend, and a little bit of 3 and 4 wide at some points. So, the truck series started us off Saturday, running 135 laps. It was a pretty eventful race. The first caution was brought out at the end of stage 1, which went to Stuart Friesen. The second caution was for debris on track. The third caution was for more debris on track, and that took him to the end of stage 2, which went to John Hunter Nemechek in the fourth truck. The fourth caution was a pretty big accident. The 40 Nice Motorsports truck of Dean Thompson got loose under the 98 of Christian Eckes, sliding up into Eckes, taking them both hard into the outside wall. Back behind this, Jack Wood in the 24 spun along with the 91 of Colby Howard, and the 45 of Lawless Allen also made some contact with Dean Thompson. And then the fifth caution was brought out when the 30 truck of Tate Vogelman went spinning. The sixth caution involved Vogelman again. This time it started when the 3 truck of Jordan Anderson tried to clear the 15 of Tanner Gray. He was not clear. They made contact, and Anderson slid down into Tate Vogelman, who then ended up backing it hard into the outside wall. And the seventh and final caution was brought out when the 44 of Chris Wright lost it in turn 3. And the checkered flags in this race, it happened on a last lap pass. The KBM trucks were all up front, and it was John Hunter Nemechek who pushed Corey Heim in the 51 truck past the 18 of Chandler Smith, and Heim would get his first ever Truck Series win. So the top 10 here were Corey Heim, Ben Rhodes, Ty Majeski, Chandler Smith, Zane Smith, Stuart Friesen, Ryan Preece, who's in the 17 truck, Tanner Gray, Derek Krause, and Austin Wayne Self running out top 10. DNF in this race, Ross Chastain, who was in the 41 this weekend, had a tire issue. Tate Vogelman was out for the accident. Dad Moffitt in the 43 had engine problems. Lawless Allen and Dean Thompson both out for the accident. Matt Mills in the 20 had suspension problems, and Haley Deegan had another tire problem. She actually had a tire catch fire. So then the next day, the Xfinity Series ran 163 laps. A very eventful race here. First caution was the competition caution. The second caution was the stage 1 winner of Josh Berry in the 8. The third caution was the stage 2 winner of AJ Allmendinger. The fourth caution was brought out exiting turn number 2. The 48 of Jay Buford lost it, and he was hit hard in the side by the 51 of Jeremy Clements. And then the fifth caution was when the 11 of Daniel Hemrick, who had a great chance to win the race, slid up and made some contact with the 07 of Joe Graff Jr., taking them both hard into the outside wall. And the sixth caution was when the 1 of Sam Mayer spun through the infield grass. The seventh caution was when the 68 of Brandon Brown spun. The eighth caution was the big one. It was a huge wreck. It all started when the 18 of Trevor Bayne was 3 wide with Josh Berry and Noah Gregson. Bayne was trying to get up, and he made contact with the 8 of Berry, sending him down into Noah Gregson, who ended up hard in the outside wall. Berry also made some contact with the outside wall, as well as the 7 of Justin Allgaier, who had it cleared but made contact with the 54 of Ty Gibbs. Back behind us, the 44 driven by Sage Karam this weekend, IndyCar driver. Unfortunately, he slid and made hard contact with the inside wall. The 1 of Sam Mayer also went spinning with the 36 of Alex LeMay, the 45 of Tommy Joe Martins, and the 27 of Jeb Burton. And then the ninth caution was brought out on that restart. The 31 of Myatt Snyder was leading the race, but he was trying to stay out, and the 98 of Riley Herbst made a move underneath them. They made contact, and Snyder went spinning. And then that took them to overtime, but they were not done with the wrecks. The 10th caution, which sent this race into double overtime, was a red flag. The 5 of Matt Mills ended up hard into the outside wall after getting caught up by the 45 of Tommy Joe Martins, who went spinning as well. This was a red flag because of the hard hit that Mills took. Also back behind us, Stephen Parsons spun with the 31 of Myatt Snyder, and the 34 of Jesse Wuji ended up hard into the outside wall. And the checkered flags in this race happened on another last lap pass. This time it was the 54 of Ty Gibbs who won it, passing Ryan Sieg. They've had some history. They passed him at the white flag. Top 10 here were Ty Gibbs, Austin Hill, AJ Allmendinger, Riley Herbst, Landon Castle, Mason Massey, Brandon Jones, Kyle Weatherman, Sheldon Creed, and Ryan Sieg, who was at first place exiting turn number 1, but ended up in 10th place. DNFs in this race. Matt Mills was out for the accident. So was Sage Kara, Josh Berry, Justin Allgaier, Daniel Hemrick. Loris Hesmans on the 38. Never saw him get involved in anything, but was out with damage. Jeremy Clements and Jay Buford. The next day, the Cup Series. A very eventful race. 325 laps at the newly paved Atlanta. The first caution was brought out early on when the 16 of Noah Gragson slid up hard into the outside wall after overcorrecting it in turn number 3. The second caution was the competition caution. The third caution was when the leader, the 1 of Ross Chastain, blew a tire and went up hard into the outside wall, but he was able to recover and continue on. And the fourth caution was for debris on track, and that took him to the end of stage 1, which went to the William Byron. The fifth caution was brought out when the 3 of Austin Dillon was being pushed by the 18 of Kyle Busch, and they could not, Austin Dillon, that is, could not handle that bump draft, and they both ended up hard into the outside wall. And then back behind this, actually, Austin Dillon's brother Ty Dillon in the 42 had some contact and ended up nosing it into the outside wall, along with the 14 of Chase Briscoe, who slid into that. And the sixth caution was the big one. It would happen when the Tyler Reddick car, who was up front again, another tire problem for cars here. It was the 8. He slid up hard into the outside wall, and back behind this, it was chaos. The 7 of Corey LaJoie and the 22 of Joey Logano, and actually the 5 of Kyle Larson, all slid through the infield grass. The 2 of Austin Cindric made some contact, also with the 21 of Harrison Burton. Michael McDowell and Cole Custer spun up into the outside wall, and the 48 of Alex Bowman also spun. And then when they got back going, they weren't going much long because the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., another driver, he had a tire issue and was leading the race. He spun out and was slid into the side by the 2 of Austin Cindric. Also the 43 of Eric Jones and the 4 of Kevin Harvick hit hard in the outside wall. When they got back going, there was another accident. The 8th caution was when the 5 of Kyle Larson was being pushed by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. A similar situation to what happened with Dillon and Kyle Busch earlier. Larson could not handle that push, and they both ended up into the outside wall. And that took them to the end of stage 2, which went to the 12 of Ryan Blaney. The 9th caution was for debris on track. The 10th caution was brought out when the 38 of Todd Gilliland, who had hit the wall earlier and had some damage, spun out once again, and the 51 of Cody Ware was trying to clear it. He was tagged in the back by the 44 of Greg Biffle, and Ware slid hard, nosing it into the inside wall. Luckily, he was okay. When they got back going, the 11th caution was when the 10 of Eric Almirola, who was up front, got tagged in the back and he slid through the infield. And lastly, coming across to get the checkered flag, there was a big accident. The 23 of Bubba Wallace and the 31 of Justin Haley had some contact, and they both ended up hard into the outside wall, as well as the 17 of Chris Buescher hard into the outside wall. And the checkered flag in this race went to the 24 of William Byron. The top 10 here were William Byron, Ross Chastain, Kurt Busch, Daniel Suarez, Corey LaJoie, Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, and Alex Bowman round out top 10. DNF in this race, Cody Ware was out for the accident. Todd Gilliland was out with the damaged vehicle policy. Tyler Reddick was out for the accident, along with Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Cindric, Kyle Busch, Cole Custer, Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, and Noah Gragson. Well, that's all for race recap. Come join us next weekend when we have all 3 series once again in the first road course race of the season at Circuits of the Americas.